I really love unboxing videos, and I've just received a package from JETPens, so I thought I'd share with you some of the things that I've received. As you can see, it came super well packaged. Everything was bubble wrapped, and I did open it initially to check to make sure that things weren't you know, spilled and broken, since it's mostly glass jars and bottles, but everything was super safe and I'm very impressed. So I wanted to share some of the inks that I've gotten, because what calligraphers look for is going to be quite a bit different from what the illustrators look for in their inks. Of course, light fastedness sometimes is one of the qualities, though for this particular batch I wasn't really paying attention to that. So let's take a look. I'm gonna need some scissors though, because I've waited a couple of days to open these so I could record the video, and they are pretty well packaged, so so I found my scissors. These are actually really cool if you guys are interested. They're titanium non-stick. There it goes. So it's really cool because whenever you're cutting sticky tape, it doesn't stick to these scissors, so you don't have to pull it off too much. So first item is some what are they called? Inking nibs. So it's a twin pack, and those are my favorite ones. It's called 512 Globe by Speedball, and I actually have one in my hair as well. It was getting in the way. And those are my favorite because when you decide to do a curved line, they don't splatter too much, which is really good if you're just drawing. If you're doing maps and stuff, you obviously want a very straight, precise line, but if that's what you want, these are not it, but they're really great and flexible ones. And then over here, I'm really excited about this one. So I've already turned up all the lights in the studio. Unfortunately, it is a little bit gloomy today, but this is actually a self-inking stamp, and it's a little photographic image of an owl. But it's really cool. So whenever you're writing a thank you note or an envelope, you can just put a little stamp and then, you know, write a thank you. And I really love owls, especially this is a little screech owl. And it does have a little bit of red in it, even though it's mostly gray. And of course the ink is black and white. But I really love screech owls, and especially red morphs. I think they're just so beautiful. And they're super tiny. They're only about, you know, 8 inches tall at the most. So you've got this tiny, ferocious, awesome raptor. So, which I like. So those are the first two items. Next we have, where did my scissors go again? Here they are. Da-da-da. This is one of those things that I liked, that I got just to play with. I mean, the packaging is good. There you go. Didn't need scissors here. So this is a small vial of Herbin, and this particular color is called Vert. I am not French, so I'm probably mispronouncing it, but it's a very light, almost limey green. So it's not going to be super dark, even though obviously in the bottle it's super duper concentrated. But here we go. This works better. It just doesn't do macro on this camera. But yeah, it's a really awesome ink. I look forward to trying it. Most of these, almost all of these are not going to be pigment inks, so they're not archival. But most of them are going to be pretty light fast. The technology has done a pretty good job. So this was only $5.50, so very affordable if you're trying to get into calligraphy inks. Especially, I don't know about loading expensive, you know, fountain pens, but for painting, using a nib and just a brush, these are perfectly fine for mixing, and definitely really great stocking stuffers if anybody loves art or calligraphy. They're fun to play with. So let's see. Okay, let's go into my working one. So this was For this one, I do need scissors. This one was ordered based on recommendation from other artists. I asked for a water-soluble ink, and there were a lot of recommendations. There are a lot of good options. This was one of the few ones that was available on the JETPens website. And my criteria was I wanted a purple or black ink that was not water-soluble. And unfortunately, a lot of inks, even though they claim to be waterproof, for example, like Higgins Calligraphy, and then where's my other one? Oh, and here's another Higgins Eternal, and also FW black ink. Even though they claim they're waterproof and they do dry, you can't really lift them. Once you do a wash of watercolor on top, it does lift some of the black carbon off, so it tints your watercolor gray, and I really wanted to avoid this for this project. So we'll see how this one that I'm opening up is gonna fare. It was recommended by about 5 artists. You know, it is, and I'll go ahead and put prices in the corner. So this is Dr. P.H. Martin's Black Star ink. It does have a nice nib and handle, so very similar to FW, but this is not an acrylic ink. This is a waterproof India ink. So I really look forward to trying that and seeing how it works. One of the qualities, as you notice over here, it says matte. That's because I actually really don't like whenever black inks end up being kind of shiny and iridescent, so similar to Sharpies. It is not a quality that I prefer in my drawings. It's a little bit difficult to scan, so that's why I've really asked for a recommendation for a matte, waterproof, non-acrylic ink. There are not that many good options for that, honestly, even though there's a lot of stuff on the market. So super excited for that. So this is Fineline masking fluid, and I'll be doing a separate video on masking fluid because it's a whole another thing. But Fineline is good. They do have a thin tip applicator that a lot of people find really useful. I still find it clogs up a lot, even though considering that I'm careful with it, but you know, c'est la vie. But the fluid itself is really good. Unlike Winsor & Newton, for example, it does lift off a lot easier and it stays liquid for a lot longer, so you can get a finer line. But yeah, if you see the difference in color, so see, this is brand new stuff and this is older. Whenever your masking fluid gets old, it turns from a light blue to this kind of yellow, I don't know, it's not a pretty color. It's not good. Once it gets yellowish, you know it's about time to toss. So you gotta order a new one to not destroy your pieces. Right as I was getting really comfortable with videography, the card was full. So we've had to change it. But as I was saying, the next 3 inks are going to be from a company called Noodlers, which I'm not sure where that name came from. I'll have to ask them. But I have one already in Apache Sunset. Really happy with it. It's to replace one of my inks that I really love. Just so if I don't need all of the effects of the ink, I can go to one that's cheaper. And Noodlers is really great because I think they're all run about $12 or so, and you get a lot of ink. I'm not going to be opening it up right now because it's literally overflowing to the top. One of them is called Purple Mountain Majesties. So it should be a really pretty purple drawing ink. So that's the first one. And then the next one that we're going to be opening up is also from Noodlers, called Antietam. And if I mispronounced it, I apologize. It's not a word that we get to say out loud a lot, even though it is in history books. So it's named after a major, and I think the bloodiest battle in Civil War. But Unlike the Battle, it is actually a really beautiful red color that I look forward to sampling. It's hard to tell what color something's actually going to turn out versus what it appears on the screen. So when I buy inks, I actually look at a lot of descriptions and look at the drawings that people have created of it, and that lets me know, you know, what kind of qualities the ink has. So this one is cool. And the last one from Noodler, so I don't even remember what this is supposed to be. The shipment was super quick, by the way. I think I've received it within a week. No, way quicker than a week. They actually used USPS, which I love, because then you get your packages within 2 or 3 days, unlike UPS, where it takes them, or FedEx, where it takes them forever. I don't know why more businesses don't use USPS, because it's also cheaper. But oh, the next ink is Walnut. And every single one of them comes in a nice glass jar. So this is Walnut. It's basically a warmer version of sepia ink, and I believe this one is archival, even though it's not pigment based, but Walnut is a very stable color and has been used in manuscripts for a really, really long time. So I've wanted to play with this one for probably about a year or two. I just never found it at Jerry's, and since I was shopping at JETPens, I was like, ooh, let's place it. Next one is my favorite ink of all time. It's by the same manufacturer that produced this tiny one, but this particular one is not available in tiny bottles because it's a special edition. I hate this noise of plastic. So this one is called Cornaline d'Egypte. This beautiful rust, reddish, orange, yellow color. It really depends on how you dilute it, but this is one of my favorite ones. That's what I've created my Panda series with, Red Panda series with, and a really tragic story. We went on a very brief vacation, and when we came back, I had a very large frame here and on 3M tabs, and there were a lot of tabs for the weight, but anyways, it fell off. Somehow the corner of the frame ended up hitting the bottle, not just dropping it on the floor, but actually severing the cap. So when we came home, and then I didn't notice it the same night because we were so tired, and the next day I walk into the studio and it looks like there was a bloodbath, because it does dry into this kind of reddish blood color, even though that's totally not what you see on the paper. And yeah, this wasn't fun, but that's why I bought myself a new one. I did have about a third of a bottle left, but it does have some shimmer at the bottom of it, and I just didn't want, whenever I'm painting, I don't want that shimmer. I love it when I'm writing, but when I'm painting, I want the very top layer, the one that gives you the beautiful gradation of color. So I'm very happy to have this one, and it's going to be very safely on my supply shelf. And then, last but not least, I got myself some beautiful things to play with. So these, I think, were brand new on the JETPens website. They are sticky notes. There are some in other varieties. I think there's an aspen leaf and also a maple and a ginkgo, but I got these one because it was slightly better value. You got 80 sticky notes instead of 60. So these will be very fun inclusions in packages for patrons and people who purchase from my site. So I was really excited. If you like this video, click like, subscribe, hit the little bell, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.